All right. In the last one, I showed you how to sort them. Another thing you might want to do with arrays is you might want to aggregate all of the information inside of that. Or in other words, you may want to reduce this entire array down to a single value. So the way that works is rather than calling this dot sort function, you're going to call a dot reduce function. This function takes in a function and it can optionally accept up to 4 parameters. We're probably only going to use 2. So it will accept the previous value and a current value. So if I call JusticeLeague.reduce on this, it needs to accept a function. Okay, so we'll write our function and it should accept the previous value. So we'll call that previous and then we'll accept the current value. And then it says, well, how do you want to aggregate this information? So if I was going through this list and I wanted to sum up the number of villains that were caught, I would say take the previous value, add on the current value, and make that. So that would be 12 plus 20, so it'd be 32. And then I would say, okay, now take that 32 and add on this 15, then add on this 18, then add on this 10. So in other words, what I'm doing is I'm taking the previous value and I'm adding on the current value. So what do I want to return here? I want to return the previous value plus the current value. Well, let's save this and see what happens. Oh dear, we have a mess here. Well, what is each value in the Justice League array? Each value in the Justice League array is an array. So if we want to take the previous value and add on the current value, well, we don't want to add on an entire array to the previous value. We want to add on the third position of the current value. So the third position of Bruce Wayne Batman is 20. So let's save that and we'll see what we've got. Well, we've got Clark Kent Superman and then this really long number, which is all of the numbers concatenated together. Why did that happen? Well, here's a caveat that you need to know about reduce. Reduce always starts at the first position of the array. So if we're looking at Justice League, it takes the first position of the array and puts that into current. So current would be this array of Bruce Wayne, Batman 20. So that's what's going in here. Previous is it uses the first value in this array as the previous value. So what is the previous value here? Well, it's Clark Kent Superman, and it's the entire array. So what we're doing is we're saying take the entire array from the first position, concatenate on 20. Then take all of that and put that into the previous position. So we take all of this plus 20 added to the end, and then we do it again and again and again. If you don't want it to start with the first position in the array, then you have to give it another piece of information in this reduce. So we gave it a function for how we want to reduce all the information. But the next thing we need to do is we put a comma and we need to give it an initial value. So we're saying, let's start with 0 villains. And then we're going to take the previous value plus the current value. And so now the previous value is going to start at 0. The current value is going to be this array. So we're going to say the previous value 0 plus the current value of 12, add those together and you get 12. And then it will continue on through this array. So if we save this and we come over, we get 160. The Justice League caught 160 villains this month.